Welcome to the Halo Effect, hospitality stories with Ashley and Michael Donald. Hospitality isn't just our profession, it's our passion. With decades of experience and countless stories to share, we've navigated the highs and lows of this dynamic industry, not just as professionals, but as a husband and wife team tackling the challenges of business and life together. This podcast is your invitation to step behind the curtain of the hospitality world. We'll share real experiences, lessons learned, and the moments that have shaped our journey, offering inspiration and insights for anyone walking a similar path. Whether you're just starting out or have years under your belt, we're here to remind you that every challenge is an opportunity and every story has the power to inspire.
Welcome to this week's episode of The Halo Effect. Today we're delighted to be joined by Dan Barnes, founder of Flourish Hospitality, where we'll be talking all things people, performance and practical leadership. Dan brings more than 25 years of hospitality experience with a career rooted in learning and development across luxury hotels, private members clubs and high-end restaurants. He's also played a key role in major London pre-openings, supporting large-scale onboarding and training programmes where culture and consistency have to land fast and at scale. Dan, welcome to the show. Great to have you here.
Thank you very much, Dan. Thank you. Hello. Can you send that intro over to me? That's the perfect elevator pitch for.
Update your bio on LinkedIn. Well, with that, Dan, I mean, you've had an incredible career in hospitality and have founded your own business. We'd love for you to share just a little bit about your journey in hospitality and how you came to found Flourish and what Flourish does in the industry.
Yeah, sure. So I'll try and do a 2-minute version of a 26-year career. So I started in hospitality when I was 16. So I've worked in it my entire adult life. I turned 42 last week, so yeah, it's 26 years in the industry.
Wow.
So always in operations and F&B to start with, and then I did what my parents encouraged me to do. I went to school, university, got a history degree. I was going to be a history teacher, and then changed my mind on that. Went to Sheffield. Big up Sheffield.
Yay,
Ashley.
Sheffield.
Yeah, and the university.
I'm feeling left out here. I studied history.
Well, there you go.
History in university. Yeah.
No need to be left out. No need. So I finished my studies and I thought, no, I want to do this as an industry. I got the bug. I got drawn in really early. So I spent time in operations, for De Vere, and then I was on a graduate management scheme with Marriott for a couple of years. Before sort of transitioning from that into apprenticeships. So I spent 4 years as an apprenticeship assessor for a couple of different companies, which was a really great eye-opening experience in hospitality.
Yeah.
You do anything from dinner ladies to to restaurant managers and stuff. And then I sort of moved into hotels to do learning and development with Edwardian Group London. So sort of predominantly for the whole group, and then focused on food and beverage towards the end. Quick stint in principal hotels for a year, opening a couple of restaurants with them in their city division before moving to Caprice Holdings in the Burley Clubs as head of L&D for nearly 7 years with them.
Wow. Fantastic.
So opened a Panabel's, just joined when Sexy Fish opened, sort of built their L&D from scratch. And then 2 years, like you said, the pre-opening of the Peninsula London, as director of learning and talent development for that opening. And then I decided to do the plunge and start Flourish, which is very close to being 2 years now. So
fantastic. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah. So take everything I've learned up to this
Brilliant.
point and see how I can help
Yeah.
other businesses engage their teams and in doing so their guests as well.
Fantastic.
Thank you so much, Dan. Thanks for sharing that. We all know that hospitality is really, well, it always faces challenges. And you're really working right at the centre of teams and culture, which we all would agree that it really is the heart of hospitality. What are you most, despite these negative things maybe and the challenges, but what are you most excited about?
Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah,
right
hospitality is so, but what do you think we need to?
Well, we hear negative things, and
I completely agree, and that's the thing. I think I see a lot of the negative things, with sort of people that I follow on Twitter and X and stuff, and there are cost pressures, but I think I'm excited and encouraged for the number of openings that are still happening. Sort of counterbalances the closures a little bit. I'm, just in the last, not just 2 years, but in the industry, seeing the bug is still there, and the younger generation is still really positive to see. But I think I think for me, and I'm doing a lot of thought about this actually, I think as AI grows and grows, and it's a good tool to use to get stuff done, but I think more people are craving that human connection and that human experience. And I think if you look at the number of people that are going to gigs and live experiences, and I think people are just craving that more and more. And I think it's such, human connection is such a good currency in our industry that leaves me with a lot of positivity going forward, I think.
Yeah. And then, so you talked about the younger generation and your own experience about, working in hospitality from 16. I think we both similarly had experiences of, working in restaurants, waiting on tables, kind of juggling, multiple things, character building, problem resolution, all of those kind of, I suppose, like life skills. But yeah, what has been the biggest change that you've seen, I suppose, in terms of the next generations coming through, and how have you adapted your styles and of learning and development to cater for that generation?
Yeah, I think it's weird because I'm a millennial, just 84. And when I remember 15 years ago saying, "Oh, what are we going to do in order to engage millennials?" And now it's like millennials are saying, "What are we going to do to engage Gen Z?" So I think we sort of nailed the millennials. But I think I think the positivities that you can take from it is if you know about the gen. And I think that the difficulty is when you paint everybody with the same brush, because then you realise that everybody's lives are a bit different. But
absolutely.
But I'll ballpark it, because I've had to look into this a lot in sort of adapting my training and helping clients sort of adapt theirs. But so when you look at Gen Zs, so tech savvy, really, they're very socially aware, like where they're going to work and how's that going to sort of create the impact as well. But also because they've sort of grown up in a world where it's constant, satisfy this need now. The need for feedback is even more important for Gen Zs. They need more constant feedback and more communication. And I think that the teams that are succeeding the most are sort of realizing that and recognizing it doesn't need to be a 45-minute conversation. It just needs to be constant feedback so you can build their confidence. But I've got it's not backed up in scientific this is like my hot take on it, but I do think that social media plays a part in this to a degree, that if you've grown up online and you surround yourself with essentially the algorithm builds you a community of people that agrees with you. That has the potential of impacting your empathy. It has the potential of impacting your ability to understand something from another person's perspective.
Really,
and I think it's like as a soft skill development. I think at an earlier time in careers, where it's not just about skills, but what they're doing to train them on reading guest cues and understanding guest behaviours and how to sort of control their own emotions as well. That I think if you start to build that at an earlier age to kind of grow that muscle, it then helps in the future when they become leaders as well. So I think, I don't know if there's any scientific proof around that. It's just my kind of my theory around it.
No, it's really interesting. And I think, we look back to our days. We kind of started our careers with Starwood, which is now part of Marriott. And they did a load of really interesting work when they were rolling out all of their brands. So at the time, Starwood had about 10 brands. And obviously Marriott has, I think, probably tripled that at this stage. But they really wanted to define each of the brands, but also it was around how do we as team members look for those guest cues, those personas, why the guests are traveling, look at that emotional intelligence, but understanding our own style of how we communicate within our team to be really effective, to then deliver an amazing guest experience that's personalized and things. And it's such a soft skill and something that I suppose you're just not really aware of or taught. And I really agree. I think to have that at such early stage and build that awareness, and then that's kind of quite ingrained then as you grow and develop your career.
Yeah, I agree. It's essentially what you're talking about here is active listening, right? It's moving away from just listening to wait for the other person to finish talking to really listening to what they're saying. And I do a lot of stuff in my training about reading body language and listening to tone of voice. And you can look about guest cues are Guest cues are really important. Are they carrying shopping bags? Are they by themselves? Do they have a laptop with them? But also, what's their body language saying to you? And what's their tone of voice saying? Are they rushed? Do they want to have a conversation? And where those skills being developed sooner rather than later, those behavioural interactions, I think, are really important. Because I said that will then, it will continue if they choose to. And that's our mission, right, is to get people as passionate about the industry at an early age as we were, that if we can instill that this is an incredible skill that some people it comes naturally to, but some people it needs to be developed, and if you can get this, even if hospitality isn't a career that you want to do in the future, the skill, you will always have a guest or a client or a customer. You'll always have to deal with people, right? Human connections, really important.
People business.
Yeah. So even if you're just in it for a few years and you're one of those people that says, I'm just a waiter. Well, it's really important.
Definitely. Rory Sutherland, the marketeer, he pops up on socials all the time, and he always has really interesting insights. And he was talking about how people have been sold a bit of graduates, people who go to university have been sold this what is now not true, but sold this idea that you can just go and work for these huge big businesses and there'll be jobs when you come out of university, but there aren't those jobs. Sort of only about 50% of the graduate jobs are there for people when they come out of university. And he was really talking about hospitality as being a brilliant industry to go into to learn the skills that will help you down the line, whether you end up being an entrepreneur or just that resilience that you need in life, and that you will probably need even more in life as we go through. So I think definitely we all probably learned that when we first worked in bars and hotels, and probably we had a few friends who decided to continue doing it like we did, and then a few that would have left, but those skills definitely stay with you. And I think sometimes that we take for granted a little bit some of those skills, and I think simple things like being able to pick up a telephone and talk to someone. I think we've discussed this in previous episodes. These kind of skills, which we take for granted, or being able to put on a tie even, because I went to a school where I had to wear a tie. Yeah. And then this generation might absolutely not know how to tie a tie because they don't have a tie in their school uniform, and they don't have to pick up a phone and speak to anyone.
Or if it's anything like my son's tie, it's got an elastic band around the side. Just put it around their head.
Is he a bouncer?
He's big enough to be one. Let me tell you that. No, it's really interesting you say that about sort of graduate placements. I can't remember the statistics around it, but the amount of jobs that
I made up 50%, so you can have that.
Look, Michael, you said it with confidence, so everybody believes you, and that's the important thing.
Yeah, at least 70% believe me.
I heard it was 99.9%, but if you I don't know, it depends, because I don't know, if I take a step back for a second, I think that's like the impact of leadership and the impact of the other people in the industry is really important for getting people passionate about it. So if you do have it as a job after university, I think a big thing that the industry could potentially do is to kind of don't look at this industry as being a step ladder in one way for career progression. So if I'm a waiter, that means I must then become a supervisor, I must then become this, that, and you just grow up to GM. I mean, I was on a grad management scheme. When I was a graduate, I wanted to be a GM immediately by the time I was 30. But as I spent more time in the industry, I then learned that I loved doing the training aspect. And then I sort of pivoted into that side. So I think, again, making people aware of when people see hospitality, it's kind of a closed mindset. They think that just means a waiter or a bartender or a receptionist or a housekeeper, not realizing that you need to be in marketing and you need to go into HR and you need to do, even project management. If you're building a giant hotel that's, over £1 billion, you project management skills are massive. So I think selling the industry is not just a place where you carry plates, but you have the potential to really pursue, or even if you don't know what your passion is at 21, you can find it in the industry. And I completely agree.
Yeah, there's so much breadth, and yeah, I completely appreciate what I did. Similar grad management with, again, Starwood, and we worked in all of the different departments, I think for about a month, and then we could decide to specialise. And yeah, I had no idea that I could go into marketing, and I did, and built my career. And the company was so supportive to then, I'd done my degree in hospitality, but then because I wanted to focus in marketing, they supported me through like a Chartered Institute of Marketing, and kind of went from there. And I think skills like revenue management, that you just, as you say, would sort of pin down just certain kind of more operational roles, and not necessarily see that you can be a financial director, etc. So I think getting that message across. And I think having lots of connections with like universities and those key education areas that are bringing students through. And I know I'm often, whenever they'll have me down in Sheffield at the university, kind of, banging the
reliving the glory days.
Exactly. Unfortunately, Gatecrash's closed, so it's all very civilized and sensible these days.
Yeah, exactly. But that's it. If you think about, like, people will change jobs every couple of years now, sometimes change industries every couple of years. Like, if you're in the hospitality industry, you can still stay in the industry but change your entire career in that industry. Yeah. And that's the beauty of it, right? Anyway. Yeah, exactly.
Sort of on that point, we have lots of different clients doing different things, but one thing that really seems to be so important at the moment is that element of retention, rather than necessarily just attracting people into the business. So absolutely, some people will have a short term, learn as much as I can in that period of time and then move on to another thing. But in terms of that retention, that learning development, and the onboarding process when you start in, and then building that confidence and skills all the way through, from sort of the industry at the moment, where does that sit in priority with generally in businesses, do you think, or are they, because there's always also an element of, okay, if that person leaves, we'll replace them, we'll get someone in, but with Brexit, it became harder to do because there wasn't as many people able or willing to do those jobs, and now it seems like there's a little bit more sort of focus on that retention side of things.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a realization that it's needed more and more. Like, some of the clients that I work with, I sort of help them to kind of put some structure towards their orientation, particularly pre-openings, because you start with a blank slate. But the biggest thing that gets in the way of doing it consistently is time. And priorities, and managers not having the time to be able to do a really thorough orientation. But I think if you can get a good structure in place for at least the first 2 to 3 weeks of someone's onboarding, like, if you can actually have somebody's day one be their day one, not start on a Wednesday before and then come in on the Monday for the orientation. You have an ability to really kind of, what's it Simon Sinek says, start with the why. And I think if you can start with the why on orientation, why are we here, what's our purpose, where are we heading, and how can I take you on this path with me, and how can you grow with me on it, and then you've got a decent structure in place. I think that's really, really important. But the other thing I would definitely say is clarity of standards, and it sounds a bit old school to say that, but I really don't think it is. I think if you've got really, you can't follow it robotically, but you need to have absolute basics of how to serve, to build confidence. Right. Yeah. So how to do this, how to do that. And I remember. It's going back a few years. I used to do orientation for, I won't name the restaurant, but I won't name the company, but I was there for a significant period of time. And it was the early days. I was doing orientation, and we used to do it every 2 weeks. So I'd always ask the question on day one, if you could describe your first week in one word, what would it be? And you normally get like really positive, buzzy word, amazing, so much fun. And this one member of staff said, confusing. Oh, really? And I was like, oh, okay. Let's delve into that a little bit. Why was it confusing? It's the first time I'd met them. And I said, well, the problem was on day one, somebody was training me. They told me how to set a table up this way. And so I set it up that way. And on day 2, another different person came along and said, why are you setting up like that? And he set up like that. And on day 3, the manager came along and said no, that's not right. So he said it was confusing because I need to know that I'm doing a good job. And I think that's all new people need to know. How do I do my job, and how do I know I'm doing it well? And if you've got a structure in place for 2 weeks that allow that constant feedback and that those quick wins to show confidence, I think that's really great. I think that's really important.
And it must have an impact on that longer term retention, as you say, that kind of onboarding. I can imagine if someone has a really consistent and well-rounded onboarding experience, that will kind of have an impact on their sort of longevity of their employment and retention in the longer term.
Utilizing technology to help is important, and even something simple, like the compliance training. We always like see it as being like super boring, and but it's a necessity to do. But you don't need to send them on a 6-hour workshop for that. There's some really great online providers now. There's the big boys like Flow. There's a new one that I'm partnering with at the minute called Blend, and they sort of create TikTok style learning videos. So they've got like a whole workshop that's certified for compliance that takes half an hour, but you get the same information and quality. So I'm developing some stuff on guest engagements with them at the moment, hopefully launching that through their website, but also in the future to sort of share with my clients just very short 40 to 60 second TikTok style videos on how to listen to engage, listen to resolve, and listen to sell. And all you got to do is just watch it on the phone, some reflective questions to ask. It's set up like TikTok, which I don't have, but it's set up like TikTok or Instagram. And it's a way of sort of giving the key message of guest engagement, building that emotional intelligence, telling them what they need to do without it breaking the bank in terms of having to sit down for hours to do it. So there's lots of innovative ways that you can hopefully provide learning, particularly in the first few weeks.
It feels like a sort of an evolution of the old sort of role plays and things like that, where you would actually take your time and you would literally show people exactly what you're expecting or hoping to do. And it was hard to do because you're maybe at the front desk, or you're in the restaurant, and you're a bit self-conscious as well. You're like, I'm a manager, I shouldn't be. But to have that as a tool, and I guess you could do that, and you could have members of your team doing something like that, recording the short videos and sharing with the team, and even if it's just sharing them on WhatsApp with here's an example of doing this really well, and just finding ways to communicate what you're trying to communicate in ways that appeal to the people you're trying to communicate to.
I'd also say from a business piece as well, it can be very easy to say watch these videos at home, but you will not get buy-in from staff if you don't pay them the time to do it. And it's such a frustration, and so if you have shorter versions, you can say, okay, I'm going to give you half an hour now to watch it. But it's funny you say about role plays. I love a role playing training, I do. But I also think you can't ever underestimate the significance of genuine on-the-job coaching, where you train them. Let's say it's a restaurant. You train them in the morning when it might not be open on the key skills that they would need to learn that day. But then during service, they're only responsible for delivering what you've taught them in the morning, and then you get them to observe what you're teaching them tomorrow. And so then you build the confidence and you build their responsibilities up. But very, very simply, if you're observing a guest interaction and you need to give feedback, don't be quick to tell them. Just ask them, what do you think you did well there? What would you do differently? Two such simple questions that shape it into a learning experience from just a telling experience,
and I think that's the coaching versus the training, and that just sort of nuance, as you say, the questions that kind of give them the opportunity to reflect and respond and adapt. And so Dan, in terms of, I suppose for an operating restaurant, hotel, that kind of process works really well. You mentioned earlier around pre-openings, and that's been a big area of your expertise, and almost that writing from scratch. When does the learning and development come into play? At what stage of that pre-opening, and how do you kind of build it from scratch to then delivering something for all of the different levels of the organisation?
How long is the podcast? I'll try. So, all right. So I think where pre-openings might not be as successful is when learning and development are the afterthought.
Right.
And where
Yeah,
businesses don't give enough time in the pre-opening period. And you'll always have a time period, but I think you have to... The difficulty with pre-openings is the dates are always pushed back. So you're always wrestling with the need to train, but I can't hire them too early in case it pushes back, in which case I've got payroll costs and stuff. So I think the L&D from the start is super important. That's one of the things I loved the most about the opening of Peninsula, because I was there effectively, a year and a half before the hotel opened, being able to build it from scratch with the team, and being able to partner, because it was a huge project, being able to partner with all the different departments, help them work on their training plans, because you can't do it by yourself. What you can do is you can train the leaders and get them to understand the significance of why learning and development is important. But yeah, for pre-openings, depending on what you're opening, it can be anywhere between 6 weeks to 2 weeks. It could be 2 months. It really depends on what you're opening. But having a really clear structure, having the time to build that confidence, and coincidentally, if you do that right in the first 3 weeks, you've essentially got your training plan for when the hotel's opened or the restaurant's open. You just replicate it, but you make it operational. So if you do it right from the start, it saves you time in the future. So it's a win-win, really.
Yeah, no, it absolutely makes sense. And I think, for those pre-openings and kind of repositionings, and we've worked on hotels that are potentially moving from a kind of very well-known brand above the door to being more of a kind of independent or hybrid brand. And I think that's when, if a lot of the team are being retained, which is often the case, it's kind of, okay, how do we then work to sort of shift the mindset of, okay, this is now the, I suppose, service style of this hotel, and the sort of evolution of the service culture, and as an independent, what do we look like, sound like, how do we interact with our guests, and but as you say, if you get that kind of model right at the beginning, and then, as you say, it's just adapting and kind of repurposing as you go
because
through.
if you look at, fundamentals of hospitality are the same, no matter if you're working at high-end high street or luxury. It's how you deliver it is different, which is why when I'm training, it's never the same. The principles are the same.
Yes.
Guest engagement's still really important, but the words we choose to describe it are different depending on the values and the vision of the company. And I think once you got that, it's kind of like, it's marketing, right? It's your brand voice. Like, what is your what's your internal brand voice? That's what you need to think about.
And we've really found that whole 360 degree approach, that you've got your, I suppose, your marketing, communications, your brand, your language, but absolutely it's your team that are delivering that and making those connections with the guests, building that loyalty. And yes, marketing can nurture along the way, but actually it does come down to the team and the guest service. And I think that those are the best projects when you're working together as a kind of holistic,
they're the most fun. They're the most fun.
Yeah,
it was the thing I enjoyed the most about Peninsula, is you're an internal consultant, and you really feel like you're part of the decision making process. When it works well, and you're really seen as a valued contributor, it makes such a difference, because you are valued as an L&D professional in a hospitality industry, not an afterthought. It makes the work so much more enjoyable as well.
And just to build on that, so we talked about, I suppose, some of the challenges and opportunities around hospitality, and obviously costs, but there's still new openings, there's still ever more competition, so brands have to differentiate themselves, and the way that they do that is often through the team and the service. And the business model that you've built, in terms of almost like, as you say, like implanting, bringing all that 25 plus years of experience and that kind of on the ground experience, but you're not just a consultant in there, I'll kind of tell you what to do, I'll give you some plans, but you're actually in there living and breathing, rolling up your sleeves. And I think that's just a really interesting business model, in terms of that, offering that senior leadership in a very flexible way that supports them through key kind of moments of pre-opening, launch, and then ongoing support.
I think that's when sometimes, this because you do consultancy as well, but I think any consultant that comes in and says, okay, this is my solution, what's your problem? It should be the other way around. this is what I can do for you. It needs to be, what do you need? You almost turn a consultancy conversation into a coaching one. Like, what's your goal? Where are you now? Where are you going to be? What will you do? And I think when it's done well, when it's seen more as a partnership, I think it's much more rewarding for both parties, because when you feel like part of the team, like my largest client at the moment is Law Group, and I think where my value for them and vice versa is I really feel part of their team. And I think when they embrace you as someone that's a colleague, not just a consultant, I think that's when you found the right client.
When you get invited to the staff Christmas party.
Yes,
I know I'm in.
Yes. How did you know?
But no, it's absolutely right. I think kind of being treated as a team, and I think that's we've been so lucky with the clients that we work with, and often that has led us to working with our clients for sort of 5-6 years. We've got clients since day one that we continue to work with, and sometimes it might just be kind of parachuting in just to support with a particular project, or there's a need period, or maybe they're just kind of just need some kind of extra hands or some insight, but sometimes it's just kind of ongoing, and can we just kind of bring you in and and the business, our values, you're part of the team, but just part of their ecosystem. So
but also though, isn't there's a benefit as well to actually having been in operations and having understood the industry too. And
massively so.
Going back to what we said earlier, you learned about how to make a connection with people at an early age, but then the troubles. You're able to empathize with clients much more, and isn't that's kind of, it's what trust is, right? It's what builds it.
It's just it's simple things as well, in hospitality, how many acronyms are there, ADRs, all the rest of it. And I just remember when I first joined the industry, thinking, oh my God, they're speaking a different language. I don't know what all this means, and I think even just being able to kind of be on a level with someone and just recognize that you know what types of reports they're looking at in the morning, and how you can kind of just, as you said, build some sort of connection or build that trust that, you've got that sort of experience.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, so talked a lot about, the amazing skills that we develop in the hospitality industry.
We are pretty amazing.
We are amazing. Yay, go us. But I mean, tell us a little bit about, I suppose, the skills that you acquire in hospitality, and I suppose that these are life skills, transferable skills, and also I suppose what you can learn working in hospitality, but also what can hospitality learn from other industries.
Right. Okay. Let me. All right. I'll reverse this actually, because I actually think what can we learn from other industries? We need to take some positivity from what the film industry do, and we need to make an incredible trailer.
Yes.
We need to make an earth-shattering trailer about our industry and why it's so important. They're great about shouting about their what films are out, little teaser trailers and stuff like. How do we take lessons or things we can learn about from the film industry for making people excited about things and transpose that into making people excited about a career in hospitality? And I think that's something which would be quite a good thing to sort of take over, I think. So I'll try and do the trailer in a world. No,
I was going to say, let's get Spielberg on the line. But no, I think it's such a good. That's such a great visual, as you say, almost that trailer that builds that anticipation and excitement and kind of makes you want to take the next step. And I mean, we often talk about set jetting, which is kind of like the Netflix and the White Lotus effect, and all of these amazing kind of destinations
really
that are kind of being filmed, and actually that then has an impact on tourism numbers and people choosing to go and stay. And I think, Four Seasons have had huge uptake from being part of the White Lotus kind of franchise and series. So, but I think, that the power of film could be actually, as you say, creating a that
I mean,
opportunity
even look at cities. How many people want to visit New York because it's in every single rom-com or every single disaster movie ever, or Washington, when I was there last year and I was walking around, I had the Hamilton soundtrack in my head constantly walking around.
It's so true. Well, one of our good friends who works at Marriott, he basically got into hotels because he watched Home Alone 2 with
Tim Curry as the concierge. And
that's hilarious. I've seen that movie and I've never thought I want a career in hospitality because I can throw a brick out of a window and hit a burglar on the head,
Brilliant.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, love it.
Yes, you were saying about other industries. So this industry, I don't know. I mean, I do know, but I know we're pressed for time. I think there's not many industries that you can work in where you could be leading a team of people in your early 20s. I think it teaches you leadership skills incredibly early on, good and bad. Lessons to learn. I think it teaches you. I think if you're a person that likes to make people happy, and if you're someone that loves to have guests over to your house, or you're not the kind of person that just opens a packet of crisps and puts it on the table, but always puts it in a bowl. You're that. Just to add a little bit of flair. Then I think it's a good industry because it's all about people. And I think, and I genuinely think, I feel like a broken record, but I think if you get bitten early and you by the bug and you work with all these amazing people, I genuinely don't think there's any other feeling I've ever experienced in my professional career than when I've run a shift that's gone incredibly well. That adrenaline rush when you've made the plans and everybody's happy and champagne. There's nothing better, and I think it's something I still kind of chase. The closest I get is when I'm training in front of people, but I don't think I would be able to do the job I'm doing in training without being taught how to communicate and being taught how to build relationships and read people. So I don't know, if I was doing a trailer for it, it is the potential for you to travel the world, meet amazing people, and learn life skills that you can use in whatever profession you do in the future, because you will always have a guest. And most importantly, complaint handling helps you deal with any arguments with your other half.
Brilliant. There you go. Life skills sorted. I love it. Oh, that's
how important that is.
Mate, I'm telling you,
when you're in business together.
Tell me, you must have used it. Listen, empathise, apologise, react, notify. You're telling me that daily basic number 7's not used in your household, being ex-married people.
I love it. It's so true. Our secret is out, Mike.
Success to a happy marriage, complaint handling.
It's true. Thank you so much, Dan, for sharing all of your insights. I think it's great, and look forward to this hospitality trainer hitting our screens very soon.
I know. Better get a haircut in advance.
But just to close us off, just a kind of quick question. So if hospitality's leaders did one thing differently in 2026, what should it be?
Listen more, talk less.
Love it. Heard it right here. Oh, well, thank you so much for your time, Dan. Really grateful. We'll make sure we link up all of the places where people can find you online and on socials. But it's been wonderful to speak with you. Thank you so much for sharing all of those insights.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to The Halo Effect, Hospitality Stories with Ashley and Michael Donald. We hope today's episode has offered some insights and encouragement to anyone navigating the world of hospitality or entrepreneurship. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question, want to suggest a topic, or interested in just joining us as a guest, you'll find our contact details in the show notes. Don't forget to follow, like, or subscribe to The Halo Effect on your favourite podcast platform so you never miss an episode. Until next time, thank you, and we can't wait to welcome you back for more stories and inspiration.